Welcome to Leadership Labs. I'm Louise and Maurice, leadership mentor and creator of the Academy for Holistic Leadership. In Lab 3, you learn through interactive NLP-based activities. You practice human-centered leadership in action, applying emotional intelligence in real-time situations. All the resources I mention in this professional training are free and linked in the description below. Let's get started. In this lecture, we are going to focus on step number 3 of session 4, 15 minutes. Now, the reflect procedure, the neuro-linguistic programming technique that we're focused on is meta model. And I had talked about that, but that's where when people are talking, the language that they are using, they are either deleting information, distorting, or generalizing. So let's look at the definition. We'll delete, remove, or obliterate written or printed material, especially by drawing a line through it or marking it with a delete sign. Literally, that's what people are doing. They're just obliterating much of what they have learned as a child or when they are describing information. And typically, they're deleting anything that is good from their experience. When we looked at that mind map in session number 1, even though their perception of their world is very much linked to how the reason why they're not confident. They're deleting any of the good information that can come from that in the language that they are using to describe their experiences. Now, distort, the meaning of distort, to pull or twist out of shape. Yes, but distort in this way, when we're looking at the meta model, is to give a misleading or false account or impression of. And so many people will do that. They will just distort the information or make untested assumptions based on their perception. And that's what they are using to filter everything else that comes into their world, their meta model. And then generalize, make a general or broad statement by inferring from specific cases. Make something more widespread or widely applicable. So that inference. And so many people will do that. They will infer, okay, because this happened, then that's going to happen. And when they generalize, they say, this always happens. It's always happened in my world, because that becomes their filter, the meta model that they are using. And that's where you want to be able to use this to clarify their mental maps and be able to develop their thinking so that they can create new associations based on their confident avatar and the language that they are using. So the resource that you would have guided them to is a new confidence language. They have to be able to develop new confident language. And in deleting out all of the language that they're using right now where they're not confident. And that's where they just created in session number 3 that confident avatar. Well, what language would that confident avatar use? What words would they use? Well, determination, definitely. They're courageous. They're poised. They have that tenacity that they're never going to give up. The firmness, the fearlessness, the fortitude, the grit. And as you click on this, it will give you the definitions for that. But the hardiness, the heart, daring, brashness, boldness, backbone. And I tell you, when people start really connecting with these words and seeing their avatar and seeing themselves in that way, then they can start to connect with their world in a different way. And that's exactly what you want them to do. Spunk, sureness, self-reliance, and resolution. I love that. Nerve, pluck. And you see your clients Anytime when I'm moving people through this process, you start seeing their face light up. You start seeing their shoulders, their body language changes because, yes, they're connecting with that. And if they aren't personally, then you make that connection with their avatar. All right, that is step number 3. As we move on, in step number 4, the next lecture, we're going to start making those connections and going up that ladder for your clients. Let's continue. In that last lecture, we looked at the online resource and it helps your clients to be very interactive and choose language that supports their confidence and the image that they see themselves in. Well, as we continue, we're looking at step 4, which is 10 minutes. And this is being able to end with reflect, performance, confidence steps. And this is where they have an opportunity to reflect on what they learned and pulling it all together. And this is where you empower your clients. Now, the phrasing that you use to begin this step. Now that you have more insight, follow these steps to apply what you have learned. Perfect. And this is where, with the questions that I have outlined for you on the PDF, they get to connect with what they just completed. All right, so the language, your new confidence language. How are you going to strategize a new plan? And when you build that plan, how is that going to support you? And you're moving them up the steps. Remember, it's always about moving them up. You never want to pull them down. And that's where the language focus is always on building them up. And as you are coaching them, I always want you to be listening to that language. Because if ever, especially when they're using the online resource, if they're looking at a word and they tell you, oh, well, that reminds me of the time when I was always criticized, and no, then that language, yes, gets deleted. That's something that actually can get deleted because it's about empowering language that supports them to see themselves in that confident way. And that's where we're focused on building and launching and promoting. That's all very powerful language. And it really is designed to propel them up those stairs. And you can use these stairs, the concept of it. You don't have to show them this image, but the stairs and the concept, everyone has climbed stairs. And if you haven't had an opportunity yet to check out the announcement section of this course, I have lots of extra bonus training material. Now, I will remind you toward the end of the course because that's part of your professional and personal development. But this is where I use stairs a lot because people are always climbing up stairs. Now, mind you, there could be stairs that go down to the basement, but you can also use that image that they don't want to go down to the basement anymore. They want to go up to the next level. All right, that is step number 4. In the next lecture, we'll focus on step number 5. Let's continue. Thank you for completing this Confidence Coaching Leadership Lab. Every skill you practice here strengthens your ability to lead with clarity, confidence, and grounded presence in real-world situations. If you'd like to continue developing your human-centered leadership and coaching skills, you'll find additional resources, leadership labs, and professional training. Links in the description below. I appreciate you being here and investing in your growth as a leader.